Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Real Talk with Ellison. And I am Ellison. Listen, if you are on Facebook, please go ahead and hit the like button. If you are on Real Talk, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell so that you know when Real Talk with Ellison goes live. Listen, on this show, we deal with real issues that impact the church and the community as a whole. We also believe in feeling, dealing, and healing, right? That's what you're going to get with Real Talk with Ellison. So, with that being said, we're about to get this show started. Hey everyone, welcome to Real Talk with Ellison, and I'm Ellison. So before we get started, I got to introduce my beautiful co-host, right? But one of them are enjoying a vacation without us. How about that? But I do have my beautiful, wonderful, fabulous, all right, that's enough, Jaquita with me today.
Hello, everyone.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey,
How are you doing today?
fine. Look, it's Thursday. One more day to Friday. Let's go.
One more day to Friday. How dare Lanika go on vacation?
I don't know how she swung that one, but we'll get her when she get back for sure.
I know, right? Right. So listen, we have been talking about relationships all month long, right? We had our spouses on with us at the beginning of this. So
Mhm.
that was great. We got great feedback to see our spouses, right? So,
Right.
but today we have a special guest that I am grateful that they decided to come on here and talk about marriage and share their story, right? So, with that being said, we have Bubba and Heather Broussard. Did I say it right?
Broussard.
Close enough.
Broussard. Hold on, let me get my French. Broussard.
Broussard.
Broussard. Okay, let's do this one more time. Welcome, Bubba and Heather Broussard.
We'll take it.
Hey guys, welcome.
Hey.
Hey, y'all.
How you guys doing? Thank you so much for being on here and joining us.
No
Definitely.
problem. We're happy to be here too.
I'm
All
excited.
right. Okay. Say the last name for me.
Broussard.
Broussard.
With an R.
Broussard.
All right. Bubba and Heather.
That's it. Just say that.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll take it at this point. Oh my God! Look at
I
Eric.
should have spent all week practicing. My bad. I'm
No.
Yeah,
sorry.
you should have.
So listen, guys. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. How long you been married, stuff like that.
We've been together for 15 years total.
Okay.
We've been married. We got married in 2020 by Justice of the Peace. We are Catholic, so we just got our marriage blessed in the church July 16th of this year. So
That's good. How important, right? And I feel like I'm about to jump in there already. Anything, Bubba, you want to add?
No, that's it. That's about sums it up. 15 years together, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and but stuck by each other's side. Got married. We had a family early before we got married. The whole process, building a home together, starting a family together first before our marriage, and then like she said, in 2020, got married by the Justice of the Peace civilly, and we just, after a lengthy annulment process and all the other stuff we had to go through for the Catholic Church, just were able to get our marriage blessed. So
Yeah.
very
That's
fortunate,
awesome.
happy. Just a long process, and like I said, just fulfilled now for sure.
Yep.
That is awesome. You know what? Thank you guys so much for your
Mhm.
transparency because I feel
Hmm.
like that's what's missing in some of the couples, right?
Yeah.
We're not being transparent, right?
No.
No,
So
If I say I'm coming, talk, we're gonna talk.
we are open book.
we gonna talk. But seriously, I appreciate the transparency because again, sometimes we'll make marriage look so glamorous and instead of saying, you know, there is hard times, but we still stay together, right?
Yeah,
So the
absolutely.
mere fact that you guys chose, even after you've done it, quote unquote, the wrong way, right? You still felt the need to get it blessed. Now, how important is it? Because I feel like we're getting away from God in our marriages as well.
Mhm.
Right? So how important was that when you guys was like, "Hey, this is what we're going to do to make sure that God was at the center of your marriage and you get your marriage blessed?"
Well, I mean, we had some unfortunate events that happened in life right before our civil marriage, and
Mhm.
so I think that helping us get through that, we dove deeper into our spiritual life. I mean, that was one of our main focuses on helping us get through those things.
Mhm.
Was focusing on our spiritual life, focusing on putting God first in our lives. And in the process of doing that, we started digging deeper into our own religion, and you know, found out that we weren't where we needed to be. We felt we weren't where we needed to be. And that was the next step, is actually having our marriage blessed in the Catholic Church.
That's good. That's good. So let's go back to being in a relationship, right? We were in a relationship before we started a family. We did all of that, right? So do and Bubba, I'm gonna ask you first, and then Heather, I'm gonna come to you. Do you think men and women think of marriage differently? And what does marriage mean to you?
I'm sure they do. Me personally, I mean, I knew what the commitment was. Um, as far as for being married, we were, like she said, we were together 15. We would get together probably what 10 years roughly before we got married. Um,
Yeah.
sometime in that time
Mhm.
frame. But I think that it was a
I like
mutual.
Bubba. He said sometime in that time frame.
Well, it was somewhere in that time frame. I'm trying to think 2020. We pushing into 24, but um, I think our main thing was when we got together and we decided to start a family. I mean, we mutually decided that I had kids prior, and she didn't have any children at the time, and she wanted children or a child. So we agreed to have a child and to build a home and to start our family and to do the things we felt were important before we got married, just because, I mean, financial stuff, life basically. We felt that the child and the home and all was more important at that time for us until we could become more stable to actually get married later on down the line. I mean, I told her this before the marriage. I mean, I treated our relationship as a marriage. I didn't need a piece of paper telling me that she was the one
Right.
for me. And I told her that for years, and she thought I was just telling it to her, not to give her a ring, but
Like, I want a ring.
I was, I
Heather,
was
he was trying to
really,
get out of the thousands for the bling bling.
yeah. So I mean, I really felt like she was my wife, regardless of a piece of paper or way
Man, that
back.
was good.
Yeah.
Now, prior to you guys actually getting married and in the 15 years of meeting each other, I know you, Heather, were previously married. Um, Bubba, you weren't though, right?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Oh, you
Briefly.
were. Okay.
Briefly.
So
Mm.
you briefly married. You briefly
He
actually
said
married.
Briefly
briefly.
married and briefly divorced.
Okay. And when you say briefly married and briefly divorced, was it to the mother of your children?
Yes.
I don't remember that, but okay.
No, it was look, well, I
Look,
mean
this how you know.
my oldest is 28, so it was whenever she became pregnant, we I decided to do the right thing. I thought at the time, young, real young, proposed, got married, and we didn't even make it to our 1 year anniversary. Split.
Oh, okay.
Full custody of our child. I raised him with the help of family and friend, family.
Right.
Yeah. So I
So-
mean,
so- Go ahead.
I raised my first child on my own, pretty much.
Okay. So it's so funny that I got to ask that actual question because I've never asked the question. So I assume that there was never a marriage in all my years of being around you guys. For me and Heather, we've been friends for over 20 something years, but coming around into Bubba, I'm like, oh, okay, so Bubba got a baby mama, 2 kids. That's my thought, because as
baby mama drama.
Baby mama drama. So
Yeah.
it's so funny because in the midst of the years flowing, I've seen the baby mama drama and how it unfolded. And so therefore, I just thought she was just a baby mama. But I'm glad I asked the question today.
Yeah.
So now I know that Bubba was married briefly.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing.
So did both of you guys were previous married, right? Is that what we established? Did that play a part in not immediately getting married? Do you think? Heather's like,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
talk to us about that, because sometimes anyway, let's talk to us about that.
Well, so I think that's why I knew I had something special with Bubba, because I had went through a marriage before where I wasn't happy. So that's how I knew it was just right. It just felt right with me and Bubba. But I also was kind of scared to take that step into marriage and like a firm commitment on paper, because you just, it's just, you never really know. I thought I knew, but like I got married really young, almost right out of high school. We were married for almost 4 years, which is how I met Queedy. He was in the military. Yeah. So yeah, whenever we lived in Virginia, and we lived the military life, and we had, friends around us like Queedy and her husband and married couples, it was a lot easier. And then whenever we moved home, it wasn't the same. None of our friends were married, and we were both really young, and so it didn't work out for us.
Yeah.
So I was definitely
I've been
scared.
doing this all wrong. I gotta stop calling you Quita. Hey, Queedy.
Stop it. Stop it.
So it was. Jeremy said, "Bubba, that's my guy."
That's right.
So Bubba, were you? And I don't want to use the word scared, but was you scared to make a commitment?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, because like I said, I had a brief marriage with my first wife.
Can we just go there real quick? How long
Yes.
was brief? Like, what was brief?
Less than a year. Less than 1 calendar year.
Okay,
Less
real
than
brief.
1 calendar year. But
Had a
then
blink of the eye.
but then what? A few years later, we kind of started messing around again. Had a second child with the same person. So here comes my second child.
Tell it, Bubba.
With the same person, and things weren't any different. I immediately, from birth, I got full custody of my second child at birth, raised him from a newborn, like on my own with my mother's help, because I work away from home, rotating schedule. I work so many days offshore and so many days home. I've done that for 28 years now. So I raised 2 boys on my own until Heather came along. And she is, and Heather stepped right on in as their mother. Like they were estranged from their mother. So she didn't come around, and Heather pretty much raised them from the point where we got together till now,
Yeah. It's sad, but it's good that Heather, you was able to step in. Eric said now the plot thickens.
Oh, yeah.
If I didn't learn the first time,
Mm.
Oh yeah, look. That's where that second baby came in because he just said
Yes,
after
that
he had
Bubba,
the
you a
first.
G.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
So if I didn't learn the first time, you guys, right? So
yeah,
okay, lesson learned now because Heather
yeah,
came along.
yes, most definitely.
So Heather, we had talked about men. Do men and women think of marriage differently? What did, even though you were married before, what did you think about marriage? Like, one marriage forever, ever, ever. Like, what was your thoughts about marriage?
Like I said, at first I was scared to do it again, but I definitely wanted it after a few years.
We had to
Oh
be
my God, it
financially.
is
We had to
so.
be financially stable first.
Do you
Um,
ever like? Go ahead, Heather. Answer that question because I got another one.
it took him 8 years to propose, which I was
Bubba learned
very
from his
excited.
mistakes.
Yes, he did.
But even though he proposed 8 years in, we waited 3 more years because our oldest son was incarcerated and I felt like he needed to be there. And so I just kind of held off the marriage part because, like you said, I mean, we knew we were in it for the long haul and we had been through a lot of things. And so I knew that he had to be there like he just did. And so we just waited to plan the wedding. So three
So
years later.
y'all got married. So let's talk about that a little bit as well, where we
Mhm.
go back into what Eric said. The plot kind of thickens, right? So then it kind of brings you to how you stepped in. Bubba said you actually stepped in as if you
Mhm.
took them on as their mother, and that's the way they identified you as their mother, and that's what I loved about walking into you all's home to see the dynamic of how cohesive you all were with each other, with how the kids loved you, respected you. You would actually take trips down here, and Calix
Mhm.
would always be with you. So it was like never ending. Every time I saw Heather, I saw Calix, which was a beautiful thing. I would also be in contact with Kaven as well, which was a beautiful thing. I consider them my nephews, and they consider me
Mhm.
their PTs. So let's talk about it a little bit though. So with you already having, like they call it, ready-made families already, or as far as Bubba having two kids already, you stepped into the situation. Do you feel that Kaven and Calix, when you came into it, did you feel that the love was reciprocated and genuine and they respect you more than their own mother
Um.
in the beginning?
So yes and no. So Kevin was 12
Mm-hmm.
and Calix was 7.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, he was rough. He didn't really open up to me at first. But Calix definitely opened up to me and wanted to, always be around me. So like I said, it took a little while for Caven, but yeah, definitely. I mean, I instantly fell in love with those two boys. Like
Mm-hmm.
I loved them from start.
Yes.
That's good. I think that was really good. So 40% of families in the United States are blended families, right? So that's a high number. So with being a blended family, is there anything that we had to put in place, any kind of boundaries, any kind of, you know, I don't like saying rules, but is there anything that we needed to put in place to make sure that this family dynamic was solid? Especially you, Bubba, because you raised them, by yourself. So was there anything to say, hey, this is Heather, she stepped right on in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I think there was times maybe they were just a little defiant, but I mean, it was never nothing super major. Um, like I said, with my work schedule, they were always used to me leaving and somebody else having to. They always had to be disciplined by somebody else and respect somebody else, which is normally my mother, while I was gone. So I think we
Mhm.
already had that dynamic of me being there and me leaving, and me being there and leaving. So when Heather came along and they started seeing her a lot more, and I mean, we started spending a lot more time together. I don't think we had much issues. They knew when dad is not home, whoever's taking care of them is in charge. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Awesome. Well, we might need to get you on the program to talk to these people that are all doing all this other stuff with these kids. Because I don't. Anyway, that's a whole nother show. But right,
Uh,
so blended families coming into a blended family. Um, before you had your own, how did that feel, Heather, coming into a ready-made family?
I was scared, to be honest. I was scared because the situation's different. It wasn't like you go to your mom's on this weekend and then you come back to dad's this weekend. It was full time. Like I was a full time mom, literally. Like it wasn't a stepmom role, it was mom. Like so
Every day,
I was
24.
scared. I mean, I was 24 years old when we met, and so and I didn't have children of my own, so I didn't know how to parent or do any of that. So I was scared.
Well, you did a great job, honey.
Thanks.
Yeah. So how important is it that you guys made sure that you supported each other, especially you, Bubba, by you going in and out, in and out? How important was it to make sure that you supported Heather and her decision when it comes to the boys?
oh, very important. Like if I entrust her to watch my kids while I'm gone, I can't be going behind her and overturning the decision she made. So I mean, I have to have that
Man, we
trust
need
in
her on
her
the whole
just to
show
be able to
today.
leave her with my children. So I mean, that's a decision I made when I decided to go to work and leave them there.
Yes.
I mean, whatever Heather says goes.
That's
Like
it. That's it.
that's it.
We
I can't step on her
listen.
toes because it won't work.
Well, and a lot of times too, like we are on the same page about a lot of things. So I mean, that helps too.
It does, and it's so much. Oh my goodness! Again, being our field, and Quita, being in the counseling field, it's like why are the parents at odds because of the kids because they're not agreeing? One parent's telling the child one thing, the other one tells them another thing. And here you are stepping into a blended family, and it's like, okay, listen, we're on one accord, and this is how it's going to be, and that's it.
Yep.
Right? I
You
think
would have
that's
thought Bubba
powerful.
was in the military the way he set the tone.
Well,
Say
look,
that
I
again.
was I was raised strict. We wasn't given anything. We had to work for everything. My dad was strict on us. He made us work. We had great work ethic, and we had to earn everything that we got. We weren't given. We got nice things, but we went out and we worked for them. Like we weren't just given things. So, and I tried to instill that in my kids too, a good work ethic, and always just to be a good person. Like I mean, it goes a long way.
Hmm.
And
Right.
us bickering over a decision that she makes in front of them, like if she makes a decision, me and her bickering in front of them is not. I mean, that's just to me, it's not the route to go. Like
Hmm.
we're defeating the purpose of trying to correct them if we're going to sit here and argue over a decision that she made or I made, vice versa.
Okay. Rita, you want to read that?
Yes. So right here, Living Water Worship Center mentions. So glad to see that you guys were on the same page with most things. How did you handle disagreements from
In front
to
of them.
in front of them? I'm sorry, it's got a gap in it. How did you handle disagreements in front of children?
Well, I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you now, we human because I mean, we'll get to some points where I should say something, and then I'm like, look, let's discuss this later or at another time. But I think it is key, regardless. If I disagree with the decision that she made, I mean, I think it's key at utmost that we discuss it behind closed doors, not to show them like I'm not talking down to her. I'm not disagreeing with a decision that she made because then if I'm disagreeing in front of them, I just feel like that shows them that, oh, well, if he can disagree with them, why can't I disagree with the decision she makes? So I just find that and I'm sure we get to some points where we probably do slip in front of them, but
Mhm.
as far as for like knockout drag out, we definitely don't get into it in front of them.
Right. And that was one of the actual points that we were going to touch on too, as far as how do you guys handle and resolve conflict in your relationship. But it looks like you answered the question and you covered it. So I mean, hey, conflict it happens.
I can,
Hey,
it does, and look, and I can sit here and say all of this now, and like I said, 15 years, we've had some ups and some downs, we've had some arguments, we've had this and that, but I think the last 4.5 years has really brought us to a whole nother level.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
um, life short, take advantage of every second. Like it put a lot of stuff into perspective.
Made us closer for sure.
Oh,
I think.
absolutely.
definitely. So if you guys don't mind, go ahead, Ellison. It looked like you was about to say something.
Yeah, I was.
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to just actually say that I think it's important that, parents teach children how to have healthy conflict, right? It doesn't mean we got to have the like you said, the knockout dragouts, but you know, how to handle, getting upset, how to handle I'm sorry, how to do all that, because the kids learn from us, right? And if we don't never show them that, I have so many, clients that say, "Oh, my parents, they never argued." Oh, yes, they did.
Yes, they
Yes,
did.
they did. Right. So I think it's important that us as parents show children how to really just handle conflict in a healthy manner. So thank you guys for sharing that. Was there anything in y'all relationship that you were like, okay, no, because I know one of the things we were going to cover was like, financial and all that other stuff. Is it something like it's like we are definitely not going to argue over this ever?
Hmm.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think
I
So
so.
don't think.
y'all never had that moment where you would say, you know what, we're never going to discuss divorce. It's not an option. We in it to win it. Considering
Well,
that
I
you both
mean,
were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course. I mean, I would say that too. I mean, definitely, absolutely that you say that divorce, but yeah, I mean, that's something that I've told her this. Like I said before,
many
we even
times.
were married. Like, listen, we
You're.
in it.
This is it.
Like, I'm not. I'm
I
not.
love it.
No, I'm done. Like,
Yeah,
this
that's
was
what he'd
it.
say.
Till
I'm done.
death
This
do
is
us
it.
part. That's it. I'm in
We
it for the
going to
long
the
haul.
grave on this one. You better get
That's
it
it.
together,
We
Heather.
already got our spot purchased. Look, we good.
Yep.
We got our resting place purchased. Like, it's done. It's a done deal.
It's a done deal. And
It's
matter of
a,
fact, you're gonna be buried with me if you like it or
That's
not.
it.
whether
Before
you
we
like it
close,
or
when we
not,
gone, don't
it's
worry.
a done deal. Yes.
Yes. Well, listen, guys. You guys have been watching Real Talk with Ellison. Don't forget to hit the like button, and if you are on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. We have been with my co-host Jaquita, Bubba and Heather. Say that last name.
Broussard.
Them. They have been great.
Them.
Giving us some insight, right? So thank you again, and please keep, let us know your comments and thoughts and questions, right? So, it's been great chatting with you guys, about different things of marriage, blending families. Um, I want to take a little bit a serious turn, but I don't want it to be, anything that's going to be uncomfortable. But you guys have, now that I know it's not so unique, but you guys have a situation, right? And that transpired in your marriage that some people, it could either break or make you. And in my research, I didn't realize how high this number was, but 80% of marriages end in divorce following um, the loss of a child. And unfortunately, you guys did lose a child, but gratefully, you guys are here. You want to talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like we mentioned earlier, I think going through that together, um, in 2020, our 18-year-old son was headed to work on a Monday morning, and an impaired driver crossed the center lane at 6:30 in the morning on a Monday morning, and he lost his life that day. Um, and I mean, it's a whirlwind of emotion that happens at that, when something like that happens. But I just felt after we lost him, I just felt a need to dig deeper into my faith, and Heather did too. I mean, she followed right along with me. She was right by my side the whole time. And as we dug deep into our faith and learned forgiveness, like just in our faith, learning forgiveness and learning how to forgive helped us grow spiritually, but then it helped our relationship so much more too.
Mhm.
Just so I think that's where we're at today is look, we're still digging into our faith even deeper daily. You know, I mean, it's a daily deal. We can't change the past. We can't predict the future, but every day we get up and we just do it all over again, you know?
So it's kind of like listening to you guys and the situations that were happening, right? So we can kind of take a step back because I was going to cover growth in spiritual, being spiritually inclined, right? With each other in your life and your families coming together and blended families. To me, the way I watch you guys evolve over the years, it's kind of like two losses at one point that you guys dealt with, right? But at two separate times. Because it was a moment where Caven himself was in legal trouble and he was incarcerated for a long time.
Three
Although
years.
3 years, right? So that's a moment where you had one son that was free, which was Calix, but then you had Caven that was actually going through a trial and experiencing hard times, and you guys came together and support him as parents, which was helpful. But at the same time, it's like experiencing a loss anyway,
Yeah.
because you have a kid that you can't help that's behind closed bars and you wish you can do more, but you do everything you can, but it's a fight, right? So
Yeah.
then when that kid comes out, you have the dynamic where you have everyone together as a whole and
Mm-hmm.
then tragic strikes, right?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was kind of like you had them both together for a
Mhm.
very, very short period of time.
Very short time.
Right. And so I'm not sure if you guys want to kind of chime in a little bit about when Caven came home, you all were together, we all were celebrating an engagement, and then boom. So prior to the actual marriage in March, January was when tragic struck. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like you lost one, was able to nurture one, had them together for a short period of time, and then you lost the other. So how has that, how are you able to come through that and struggle with, of course, growth and, of course, the spiritual side, which you guys have explained, but can y'all kind of cap on that a little bit for us?
Um, I mean, yeah, like you said, I mean, we were so grateful and so happy to have everybody back. And then that was one of my points that I touched on earlier was that, waiting to get married when a Caven got out, you know, because I wanted all my children there at the wedding. Um, and unfortunately, Calix wasn't there. So, like, we waited all this time to have them all with us um, for our day. And here we are faced again with, you know, we don't have all our children with us because Calix had passed for the wedding. So, um, I mean, it's an emotional roller coaster, and it's
It
been
is.
one. Yeah,
Yeah. Bubba?
I was saying I can, first of all, I know that it's been what 4 years. I believe now. It's been roughly 4 years.
4 years since he's
4 years.
passed,
Yeah, 4.5 is going
going
on
on
going on the
5.
fifth year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it never gets easy. It comes a little bit more manageable, but it never gets easy, right?
Yeah.
And for you to say, well, we waited, all this time to have our kids together, and then unfortunately, it wasn't. And again, it's been 4 years, but still our condolences because it still
Yeah.
hurts, right? It still hurts. So
And
one thing,
imagine it like, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ellison. I didn't know you were still going.
the one thing you talked about was, you know, just forgiveness. And
Mhm.
I think that is so powerful that you identify that forgiveness, because sometimes in situations like this, we can even be upset with God, you
Yeah.
know, because we don't always understand. So we had a comment about forgiveness.
Forgiveness is such a vital part of life. Thank you for sharing this story. We are a blended family, and this is helping me to look at our moments for needs of forgiveness and how many moving parts exist in family.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that people understand that even though we're blending, and regardless of how smooth it is, we're still a blended family. And like she said, it's a lot of moving parts, you know. And I don't know, um, and Quita, I know you had a question, but I don't know if there was some kind of pain there that we waited, or maybe because at times like this, the woulda, shoulda, couldas all
Yeah,
start to
Absolutely.
play.
absolutely.
So how did you guys deal with that?
Oh, I mean, there was talks of, not going through with the marriage. Like, well, let's just not, like, we have too much on our plate. Like, we're just not going to do it, like, but we knew in our hearts that's what we wanted. And we know that that's what he would have wanted. He was more excited, I think, for the wedding than we were. And
Yeah,
so,
he was. I think he thought
yeah,
he was getting married.
yeah, exactly. And so, yeah,
Yeah, it's a moment. We love y'all.
I know.
Yeah. Love you. No, it was it was a tough decision, but like I speak on this I speak on this often. When we left that funeral, actually from the funeral home with Calix, we entered into the church, our local church. I sat in that pew and I just felt a connection. Like it was so odd. Yes, I was heartbroken and I was devastated, but I felt him in that church. Like it's so unexplainable. And I returned to church. Like I attended daily masses just to be inside those walls, because I felt a connection to him.
Hmm.
And I think it's just that connection after feeling that I knew what I needed to do. I knew I needed to dig into my faith more. I knew I needed to learn to forgive, and not just the people who made this, or the person who took his life, which ultimately lost her life also. But I needed to learn, like you said, to learn to forgive God, because I questioned him. I
Mhm.
needed to learn to forgive myself for things that I did that I might hold. It's forgiveness is so deep. And like I really think if I know our relationship would be great right now regardless, but I don't think we would be at the point we are right now without that loss, which
Mhm.
has some people might say, man, wow, after going through something like that, how can you rebound? Like I just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there is. Like I think it's all where your focus goes to.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people, they get depressed and they stop taking care of themselves. They play the blame game. It's a lot of different things, right? The comment says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge Him in all your ways, and He will direct your path." And that is so true. That's Proverbs 3. You were saying how you felt that connection. You can't explain it, and to me, it was almost as if God was saying, I know, the pain that you're feeling, but I'm here. It's like as if he was comforting you, in that time, right? Because like you said, is where do I put my focus? So now I turn to church, I turn to God, you know, and he lets me to know his word is true, and he says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And right there in that time when you needed him the most, that's when he was there. And then again, I'm looking at Heather, and he put Heather in your life. We don't know the plan or anything else, but God does. But look at how he put you guys all together. Unfortunately, you had that loss, but thank God you turned to him and y'all had each other, right? And how important is a support system during times like this.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean and that was another thing. Like me and her, the Calix was actually working for a veterinary clinic local, and that's where he was headed that day. The actual veterinarian there, uh, great guy, um, but me and him had never really met before, and having people like that, a support system, because I mean he's digging deep into his faith at the time, his wife's digging deep in his faith, they're surrounded by faithful people, and just to have the community, not just them but just the whole community that surrounded us, um and took us in, because I mean, like I said, we would go to church for special occasions, and Calix went to Catholic school, and we went through the motions, but we never did really dig deep into our faith and live our lives for the Lord. Like, and I think after all of that happened, it put a lot of stuff into perspective, in our faithful lives, not just our lives. Like, I mean, our faith is right there, number one now. Like, it comes number one. Like, that's it. Like, there is nothing else. After that, me and her, then the family and the kids, the house, like, but we put him first now. And I mean, here we are. Here we are.
So if you guys don't mind, can you guys share just a little point on Calix's spirituality in itself? So something happened, and I'm trying to recall. It was an event that Calix was at with his friends, or were they out somewhere? And if you guys desire to share, but he said something in regards to the Lord and how he has so much faith that he's okay.
Yeah. So at the funeral home, one of his good friends came up to us and she said, I don't know, I didn't know if I should tell y'all this or not, but I feel like I need to tell y'all. And so they were together at a party and they were talking. They just started talking, and the subject of death came up. And so, like most teenagers, they were like, "Oh, I'm scared to die and I don't want to die." And most of them were scared. And so she said, but his comment was very, very different. He said that he was not scared to die, that he was very happy with the person that he was that day.
Amen.
And that, I'm sure, gave you guys a lot of peace as well.
Absolutely.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got to pause.
Bubba, my heart, I'm like, amen, because that's the one thing that you want, for your children is to reverence the Lord, and
We say that often, how he's actually taught us
Yeah.
so much more
Yeah.
than we ever taught him.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was a big key point I think of our healing too, was that like he taught us, like the community came together for his death. Like immediately he went to Catholic school. That day they had a candlelight vigil. There were hundreds and hundreds of people there praying. He played football. We were at the middle of the football field with a candlelight vigil, just praying together, like saying a rosary, praying together. It was him. You could feel his presence. And same thing at the funeral. Church, you couldn't even pack another person in a church, and we have a pretty decent sized church. And just seeing how the community came out for 18-year-old kid, and hearing the stories after he was gone, like, hey man, I didn't even really know your boy, but I met him one time. Like, man, he made a lasting impact on me. Like, just the first time I met him. But that's how he was,
Very friendly,
very respectful. Would have gave a shirt.
Goofy. He was the center of attention.
The normal 18-year-old. Now he still had his little quirks, but for the most part, he was very faithful. That's for sure. Like, sending him to Catholic school was a decision we made at the time. Our school system really wasn't the greatest. We had went through a lot of stuff with caving, like I said, being incarcerated, and just trying to put him in a better atmosphere. if you would say, and he really dug into his faith there at school, you know. So it was a great decision, and like I said, he taught us more in the days of his passing than we taught him in 18 years of his life, you know, just in them few days, seeing how he brought the community together.
Yeah.
Like it was amazing.
And still does.
And still does today.
Still does.
We
Yep.
just had an event, his birthday. We threw him a birthday party.
Yeah.
We had
Big
over
celebration.
300 people at a birthday party. All his all his friends and teammates, and
It's amazing.
still get together on his birthday every year and celebrate.
Every year.
300 people. Like who 5 years, his 5th birthday gone.
Yeah.
And the kids still come out to celebrate his birthday. So
Definitely
Man,
don't.
it's
that
it's
is
amazing.
It's
That is
amazing.
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 You
And
know,
I'll-
and again, go ahead.
Go ahead. And I also too want to speak on that too, because I think I want to go back and piggyback on Kaven too, because although I know it has been a struggle for his big brother, and I'm sure he's had resentment of being gone and out the loop for so long. And when he came home, he had a short period of time with his brother as well. It's kind of like poof, he's gone. But I will say too, being around, seeing him, I've seen growth in Kaven as well, you know, and I'll give a quick a quick little view. So last weekend with the cook-off, you know, my son actually came down and attended the event, and the family hadn't seen him in like 2-3 years. Well, Kaven took the time to have a conversation with Jeremiah and was explaining, you know, I'm happy to see you, happy you're doing well. I've been watching your highlights in sports. And he was encouraging Jeremiah, keep up the good work. Don't make the choices I made. Do better for yourself. And I have to give Kaven props for that, because he didn't have that to do. But it showed me how much he has become such a family man. And he has his own kids.
Yeah.
And he's just, you know, he has his moments, but he's like working through them, combing through it. And it touched me that he took the time to instill some great positive news into my own son, which he watched grow up as well. Mm-hmm. And so he took the opportunity after not seeing him for so long and say, hey, make sure your choices are good. Don't follow in the path I led. This is where I am. So I appreciate him giving my son his testimony. That meant a lot to me as well.
Yeah, he's got a big heart. I mean, like I said, Kaven also, you know, but a mortgage and some kids will do that to you, make you straighten up. He just recently got a place of his own. When they moved in, probably Christmas or something.
A little after.
It's just been about a few months now. We had a family of 9 living here under the roof at my home,
which has also been
which was a whole show, if y'all want to call it.
Very trying.
Yeah,
on the
so
marriage.
You know, we had, you know, my mother who divorced about 6 years ago that lives with us and lives with us full time, and then Kaven and his fiance or girlfriend were in transition from a home in Houston that they were renting to actually purchasing a place here. So they lived with us for a good year, all under this one beautiful roof, 9 individuals. So yeah, and we still together.
That part.
Yeah.
So Eric says, Heather, how were you best able to be there for Bubba during this time? Because you were hurting too, right?
Yeah. It was hard. I knew I had to be, or I had to try to be strong for him, but not only for him, for my other son, for my mother-in-law, for my daughter. You know, I knew I had to be, or at least try to be, that person for him to be able to turn to. I hope I was successful.
Yeah.
You were successful. It's not in question. Look at Bubba.
Yeah, and I mean, it was the grief. I don't think we had time to grieve initially, because you know, we gave you a little portion of the story. But when we lost Calix in January of 2020, 8 short months later, my only brother,
Mm-hmm.
which my mother lives with us. We lost him to aggressive brain cancer,
Yep.
just 15 months younger than me.
Yeah.
Um,
Only sibling.
only sibling. So I lost him. So just after burying my son 8 months, buried my brother. Um, my
Then you
father,
had.
my father fell sick immediately after
Mm-hmm.
my brother's, and he had stage 4 colon cancer. We buried him in February, which
Mm-hmm.
was 13 months.
2020.
After, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
13
following
months
year,
after that,
2021.
after Calyx, we buried my father. So that was our third loss. And 2 short weeks later, Heather's stepdad passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and then her grandmother in
A
July.
few months later.
So in
Mm-hmm.
18 months span, we buried 5 people,
People.
that
Like
were near and
close.
dear to us. So
Yeah.
I don't, it's like you trying to go through the grief of one, and then here we are again with another. And
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah, it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
it was a it
It was
was
a
a
lot.
lot.
It was a roller
Yeah.
coaster.
It
It
was a
was a
It was
lot.
lot.
layers of trauma, but I like what you said in the beginning that we relied on our faith
Yep.
Faith,
because when you go through things, right, and then you guys went through within 18 months five loved ones,
love,
you
Yeah.
know,
close
there
Close
family.
that I
family.
mean that's nothing but God.
Nothing but God. To
Nothing
lose
but
a
God.
son and a brother and then
A
a
son,
father.
a brother, two fathers. I mean, it is a whole lot.
So,
Yeah.
So, what did it take, right? Because we never forget. Like you said, we're still, celebrating his birthday and stuff like that, right? So, what is it now developing a new normal? A
Yeah.
new normal with all of this, right?
Yep.
Well, and I think I touch on this a lot also because I mean I try to give testimonies at these retreats, and I think it helps in my healing, just like coming on here and talking about it. It helps with my healing. I enjoy speaking on it because it helps me. I don't think it ever becomes normal. I think, when it initially happens, there's a hole, like a hole in my heart. Like, and that hole will never heal. Like, it's there. But I think it's what can I fill that hole with? In other words, I can fill it with anger, I can fill it with grief, I can fill it with frustration and whatever, or I can fill it with God
Mhm.
and love
Mhm. Mhm.
and help me get through it. Like, that hole's never gonna heal, but how much good stuff can I pack in that hole to
Mhm.
tote around with me daily? Because
That's good.
toting the grief around and toting the anger around and the frustration and the anxiety and
That
just,
was mine.
you know, things that we deal with on a daily basis is like, it'll wear you down. Like, it will wear you down. So I think that's my normal, is just I attend several Bible studies a week. I write in a journal periodically. We do retreats, both of us, just trying to dig deeper in our faith and fill that hole with good stuff. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
good stuff.
The one thing about filling that hole with good stuff is I heard you say, you guys talk about it, you know, that what God is filling you up with is pouring out into others and helping other people.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate, but how can I now share, my story and help other people who may not have turned to the faith but away from the faith, right? That may be
Yeah.
dealing with depression, anger and anxiety and everything like that. You guys are able to say, "Hey, your marriage took a blow, but you can survive this if you guys come together." And
Yeah.
that's what I heard out of you guys, that we came together and we conquered this together instead of attacking each other, pulling apart, being distant with God as the center. That's what I heard from you guys. So I think that is powerful, that everything that you are pouring in, from a positive standpoint and from God, you're regurgitating it out onto others and letting them know how they too, can get over situations and the loss of a child. So
Yeah.
I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I mean, we learned this, going through the Anoma process of getting our marriage blessed. Like, marriage is a union. We're no longer two. Like, we're one.
Speak to that part.
You know,
Yeah.
we're one. Like
That's another show too.
we're joined as one now. So we're not divided anymore. Like there is no long, there's no her getting mad, me getting mad, but we have to come together to get through it. Like
Mhm.
we have to be that one soul together.
That's right. That's good. That's good. And again, that's what we're talking about. Your partner's not your enemy.
No, no, no,
No.
no, no. Waste too much good time and energy trying to fight each other.
Mic drop. Yeah. Go ahead, Queenie.
Right.
What you got, Queenie?
I was gonna say, you know what? We just gonna plan this out. We gonna drive y'all nuts. But Heather, we gonna make your birthday weekend next year fire, girl. We're gonna have y'all to come out, hang out. Hey, people, it would be amazing if y'all could share y'all testimony. If you guys would like to, I think it would help a lot of marriages. I think Eric and Ellison are doing an amazing job. Shout out to my two besties that's on here.
Hey,
I can't stop saying it. Whoop, whoop. And I got my big brothers over there. I got Bubba and I got Eric, and then I got my big head over there somewhere.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm loving it. And look, we all military blended is what I'm loving about it. Like this is where we began. Jeremy said he loves you guys.
Love you
Mhm.
too.
You better be watching. I'm just
Yes,
Oh,
and that's the whole other part too. We again, that's how you blend. Some people think family means only blood, but that's you don't. You know what I'm saying? Especially being in the military, we gain family because sometimes we're around you guys more than we are our own family. He said, I
We
don't
love
even
you
know y'all, but I
too.
love
I'm
y'all
just
too.
saying, everything. I don't know y'all, but I love y'all.
yeah.
That's right. We about to get to know each other.
Yes. So listen, as we begin to wrap up again, I just want to say if y'all are watching on Facebook, hit the like button. If you are on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell, and make sure you share this out because there are people out there that are hurting, right? Because they are experiencing a loss or maybe it's not a loss, but something that they feel like they can't get over in their marriage. But share this out because this is a, a prime example of what God can do if you let Him, right?
Yes.
That's the whole point. And I believe Bubba and Heather, you guys can speak to that. We had to allow God to come in and do those things, right? You had to be in
Absolutely.
a position to allow Him to come in and minister to your hearts and pour, into your hearts, right? So, with that being said, if y'all can think of a nugget to leave our viewers, that would be great. So, I'm going to give y'all a few minutes to think about it because right now we have a word from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, we wanted to get on here. We just want to tell you guys that we're excited for the upcoming We Still Do Marriage Enrichment Conference
Yes.
coming in September the 7th at Hub 757 here in Northern Suffolk.
Yes, we are super excited. And we wanted to say, listen, pour into your marriage, right? It's so important for us to make sure that we cultivate our marriage. And we do that with the We Still Do by providing you with some substance and some tools, right, to maintain and have a healthy, happy marriage.
That's right. So you guys need to get your tickets and get over to the conference ASAP here in September. Hey, and while you're at it, go ahead and on the website, you can order these t-shirts.
Get your t-shirt.
Get your t-shirt. We have one for men
Yes.
and we have one for the ladies.
Yes.
And they have come in multiple colors. So please go on the website, www.westilldo.us.us, and you can get your t-shirts for the conference.
Hey, and listen, there's several options with your colors. So don't forget to hit the drop down box and pick the color you want.
So go on over there to westilldo.us so you can register for the conference ASAP. So we want to hear you say,
We still do. Yay!
See y'all, we rocking and rolling already. Y'all ready?
Rocking and rolling.
Oh.
Get your t-shirts. Get your t-shirts. All right. Heather, Bubba, say
Yes.
that last name.
Broussard.
There you go. Give us a nugget.
What you got?
What you got?
Oh yeah, you're gonna throw it on me. Huh? No, I think just speaking on relationships, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly. Um, without that faith first, like that faith has to come 1st.
Mhm.
Like we would not be sitting here today talking to y'all if it wasn't for putting our faith first. Like your faith has to come first. You have to make God the center of attention in your lives, in your marriage. And man, without him, we wouldn't be here talking to you guys tonight. We wouldn't have been able to get through the things we got through. Without putting him first in our lives. And I'm a needy person. I need stuff. I need attention. So it took some learning for me to put him front and center. But this is where it's brought us, and putting him first. So I would say that's what I'll leave y'all with. Like, put God first, and good things happen. That's for sure.
Amen to
I
that.
love you.
Look at Queenie smiling like a proud parent. Look at her.
Your proud friend.
She is too. She is too.
I'm smiling because this is my family. I'm excited.
Yes. Yes. All right, Quita, you have anything to say before we go, Quita?
Yes, as far as relationship talk, my nugget of the day is never go to bed angry.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow is not promised.
Amen.
Amen. And I'm assuming because Bubba said we are one, Heather is gonna go with what Bubba said.
Yes.
What he said, huh, Bubba?
What he said.
What he said.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I mean, I feel
love
the
it.
same way. I really do feel the same way that he does.
Yeah. Gotta have faith, right?
That's right.
Some people say, fake it till you make it. You gotta faith it until you make it.
Faith it till you make it.
I
Faith
love
it till
it.
you make it. And I got
Faith
the
it till you
t-shirt.
make
It's
it.
coming. So
Nice.
Oh, I want one of those.
Yeah.
Thank
you
you.
want
Yep.
one? I'll get you one too.
Count us
Faith
in.
it till you make it. Matter of fact, y'all hashtag that. Faith it till you make it. Right? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Faith it till you make it. Quita, I'll make sure when I see you, I'll have your shirt.
I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna see you in about 2 weeks. I'm gonna need my shirt.
I know. I can't wait. I'm super excited. Well, listen, guys, we thank you so much for tuning in to Real Talk with Ellasin. Heather, Bubba, I appreciate you guys. Hold on, right? Don't go nowhere. We'll be
All
right
right.
with you.
All
So
right.
thank you guys so much for tuning in to Real Talk with Ellasin. We have had a great conversation with Bubba and Heather. I am not going to the last name because I'm gonna mess it up. Broussard, them. So I appreciate them so super much that they were able to come on here and share their story and let everybody know how they made it with God, right? And you too can make it with God. Your marriage can sustain any and everything with God being first, right? We got it backwards. It's God first. Amen. So again, thank you so much for watching Real Talk with Ellasin. Don't forget to get your tickets for We Still Do Marriage Enrichment, September 7th. I appreciate you guys and love y'all. Mwah. God bless.